Hey everyone, my name is Anna. I'm a wife of an addict in recovery, and I'm also recovering myself from codependency.
Hey guys, I'm Mitchell, gratefully recovering addict and alcoholic. Grateful to be here.
We haven't been on in a while due to Mitchell being in Pennsylvania, me going through lovely Lymes. I've been on antibiotics now for over 3 weeks. Yeah, for over 3 weeks. Definitely feeling better than what I originally felt 3 weeks ago. So we're on the path of healing and recovery. So guys, we're going to get right into it. We're going to continue answering the questions that were sent in to Mitchell. The question was, if you could ask an addict or alcoholic in recovery anything, what would you like to ask? And we got a lot of questions sent in, so we're going to continue down that path. So the first question, Mitchell.
Right on.
I know we've done a little bit of this, but again, it was asked. It says, please tell me what made you decide to recover. After 20 years of watching my other half slide into alcoholism and years trying to help and having him to watch the effects it's had on my son, I'm at my breaking point, as nothing works to make him stop putting alcohol above his family. So please tell me what made you decide to recover. So what made you decide to recover, Mitchell?
I just gotta think for a minute.
Yep.
Well, I think that Mitchell always wanted to be healthy.
Okay.
I think in the behaviors of addiction, alcoholism or addiction, I don't think I knew that was a possibility. I don't think I knew that there was another way. It's really hard. I don't know. It's really hard to step into recovery when you're using. It just is. I think, a lot of different people look at a lot of different things. Some people call it rock bottoms, or when the desire to change outweighs the desire to stay the same. When enough people in your life, maybe that you love, aren't in it, and it makes you really evaluate where you are or what you're doing. Sometimes that's a failed marriage. Sometimes that's being kicked out of the house. Sometimes that's DUIs or court or jail that might be the catalyst to actually get help. I know my life had to get considerably worse for me to even consider it, because, when I was, still holding my life together, by working, having a job, having a car, having a house, and just, drinking every day, using all the time, just scraping by in life. I think, I kind of forgot where I was going with that. When I was using and I had to, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry, guys.
Okay.
I think I needed for people to say, this is not okay, and we're not going to hang out with you, right? We're not going to hang out with you. We're not going to be around you. I had a couple DUIs, and that was never enough. That was never enough to make me want to say, I want recovery.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I think it was always justification. It was never the drugs. It was never the alcohol, because those were the solution, right? So you never think whatever you think the solution is never going to be the problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think until my solution of drugs and alcohol became the problem, I don't think I had recovery on my radar at all. I would just stop for a little bit, right? Even back in high school, I remember, getting caught with a quarter pound or something like that, and of marijuana, and it was I stopped doing stuff for a little bit, and I had to go to rehab, or else I was going to get kicked out of my house.
Yeah.
But I didn't want recovery, right? I just stopped a little bit. Fast forward, I had a DUI. I just stopped a little bit. I didn't ever say I have a problem. A possession charge, I slowed down for a little bit because I had to be good for a year. Second DUI, I switched from drinking to cocaine. You know, and I didn't have a problem. You know, after, you know, fighting with you and you know, us being rocky, like, I would just slow down.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't think it was till I couldn't slow down that I was like, I need to do something. Right. And I think we were in couples therapy at that point.
Yeah.
So there was like someone else reflecting back what's kind of going on. I think I was doing my own therapy with the same lady at that time. So I was getting these little kind of cues to look at my life. All that was beneficial. Even though like my family wasn't holding very good boundaries, they were still beginning to naturally create friction with the addict, right? Which is a good thing, right? It's making it more difficult for the addict. So all those things were planting seeds. Anna was more vocal about the things that she needed in life and wasn't getting. So all of this stuff planted seeds in me that said, man, I need to do something different than just slow down. And then I think once I was like, oh my God, I can't stop. I'm only getting worse and worse and worse. And feeling way worse and stealing and lying more. I think it just really took a toll on my soul.
Yeah.
And I think that's how I put it. I don't think it's a rock bottom for me. I think it's just my soul was just enough, right? My essence, Mitchell's essence was like, I am having enough. So that kind of stepped aside from the addict who's egotistical, prideful, and it's like, I don't need help, and said, my God, Mitchell, you need to do something, right? And I think, you know, that's when I had mentioned maybe one of the treatment, and I don't even remember like Anna or anybody else like suggesting it, but I think my therapist suggested it, I think Anna suggested it, I think other people, my friends and family all were suggesting it, maybe not to me, but they were talking about it with each other, you know, so like, I thought it was my idea, and I was like, you know, but I think a lot of other people had put that kind of in my head, and then I had to go 3 times, right? I had to go 3 times in 18 months. I went, you know, like 8 months out of 18 months was rehab, was living in rehab. So I don't know what it's going to take for your person, but I know that enabling soft boundaries, sticking around just because you have no exit strategy, or you're fearful of what life is without them. All those things are real, but they're not helpful, right? They're not helpful for the person getting into treatment. So if you really want to help the loved one get into treatment, it's hard boundaries. It's planning an exit strategy. It's having friends and family rally around the healthy individual. And that means saying no to the addict, calling them out for stealing or lying or missing work, you know, kicking them out of the house when they're acting a certain way. So really holding them accountable, you know what I mean? And being open and honest with other people, not suffering in silence. And I think it's the only way to get a possibility of them saying, like, I want to go to treatment. You know, I think some people that are forced to go to treatment eventually do change. I think, unfortunately, I feel, this is totally opinion, I don't know if this has any backing or not, but I feel that people that choose to go, I think the success rate's a little higher than if you're just like made to go. So I think if someone's going to choose to go, things have to be pretty shitty, pretty tough, pretty real, pretty honest. I know I wasn't learning anything about the behaviors I was doing in the 22 years of use when people weren't telling me things, right? When people were just trying to didn't know what to do, and that's okay if you don't know how to approach somebody. But you can't be silent about it. If it's bothering you, say something to somebody. I think that's how you help. I think that's how you help people.
Yeah, I think coming from my perspective, again, when I did not know about my codependency, when I didn't know my lack of boundaries, I didn't even know what boundaries were. My fear of conflict, so I avoided it. I didn't speak my truths, didn't speak what I needed. Wasn't confident in what I was holding boundaries with. Nothing ever changed. I mean, nothing ever changed. It was not until I got a support system that started teaching me about standing up for myself, really doing the deep thinking about what I need, what I'm longing for, what makes me happy in life, what brings me joy, and then looking at unhealthy behaviors and realizing that just because someone has the disease of addiction does not give them the right to hurt you. And so I needed to learn to stand up with boundaries and realize that holding boundaries was not me being unkind. It was actually a kind thing to do to someone that, again, if anyone went to the Thursday night meeting with Laura Boberg on it and how she really taught that this is a chronic illness of the brain. That's why when some people say, like, when we bring our loved one to the hospital because, you know, they're detoxing or whatnot, if it's really a chronic illness, why do they not help us? And Laura's like, because you're bringing them to a place that is an emergency. Meaning as, like, if someone came in that was diabetic, they're going to get them back to level, but then they have to go do chronic care. They go and talk to their doctor. They work with the specialist. It's the same with someone in addiction. Addiction, again, it's a chronic illness. It's an illness of the brain. And so this is something that, yes, an emergency room will help you with the emergency situation, but you need to do the things that's going to help your chronic illness later on. Get a support system, work with a therapist, work with your doctor, maybe go to inpatient, outpatient, 12-step programs, whatever it may be for you. I really like that she put it that way, is that we know we can continue saying it's an illness. It's being more expressed. It's a chronic illness of the brain. The brain does not work correctly. And I love how she put it the other day. She said it a bit different than usual, is as much as, you know, we're always asking, why do they fight us? Why do they always go and use when one second they're like, I don't want to use anymore. And then all of a sudden the next they are. She said, you need to remember, again, it's a chronic illness of the brain. And what the brain understands is it does not want to go through stress. So right when stress happens to somebody in addiction, the brain will quickly, without thinking, how do I get rid of the stress? And that is why they continue going back to the addiction. And that's why Laura said, why is it crucial for families to have their own recovery and healing and learning their own knowledge? Is because, like she said, she believes completely on the 3 C's. You didn't cause it, can't cure it, and you can't control it. She said, but if we do not learn healthy communication, if we do not learn boundaries, if we do not learn different things that have to do with codependency, yes, we can exacerbate the chronic illness. Meaning as if we're always dealing in contempt and criticism and resentment because our focus is primarily on the addict and we don't have a support system, then we are creating more stress rather than doing healthy by holding boundaries and doing healthy communication. And someone also, I love this, was like, is there a program for codependence? And she said, yes, it's called mental health facilities. Because unfortunately, when we are loving someone in addiction, we tend to, mental health comes our way as well. Anxiety, panic disorder, depression, and more things like that. So again, she did a whole talk on that codependence. We need to realize our codependent behaviors are our drug of choice. And the reason why we choose a codependent behavior, a lot of the time, same as the addict, we want to avoid stress. So again, codependent behaviors are not healthy. They're very unhealthy for you and for your loved one. But I loved how, you know, we always talk about, or I feel like I share on here, is that codependency is a drug. That's what I feel. But I loved how she said we need to do some deeper digging of why aren't we holding boundaries? Is it because maybe we felt abandoned when we were younger or at certain parts in our lives? And so we're fearful of doing the same to somebody else that we had done to us, even though it's a different situation and we're not abandoning them. Mm-hmm. So I really loved how Laura used that is, again, guys, there is a 50% more successful chance of your loved one getting long-term recovery if the addict and the family both do the hard work. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, and I think it's you know, a lot of times it is questions of why did I choose recovery? Why did Anna choose to work on herself? And it's so tricky because addiction and codependency are both change the brain, yes. Right? They both change the chemical makeup in the brain. So it's one of the only illnesses that changes the brain, but what do you use to try to figure something out? Your brain.
Mm-hmm.
So you have that illness also telling you that maybe you don't need to change. You don't need to do these things. And I think if you think about it, while you were talking, I was thinking like, and I always go to like a big one, right? Like cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. If you have cancer, but then the doctor's asking cancer if they want to cure it, well, cancer is doing what it's doing, destroying your body or taking over cells or whatever it's doing. Well, if cancer answered, it'd say, no,
mm-hmm.
I don't want help.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to cure this.
Mm-hmm.
So you think about that as codependency, the alcoholism, the addiction, that kind of brain. You're asking, do you want help? And you're like, yeah. But the addict brain, that changed brain, saying, no, there's nothing wrong, right? You're asking the sickness, why don't you get help? Well, the sickness can't answer that because there's nothing wrong with the sickness. Yeah. The sickness is doing itself. It's doing what it's supposed to do. Yeah. I mean, and I think that's the hardest thing about mental illness is you're trying to work this, not just addiction, codependency, anything like that, but anxiety, depression, bipolar, any mental illness. It's hard. It's the hardest thing you can do because, one, other people have to take your word for it. You don't know if you're talking to the healthy or the sick. And it's a mix of all of that, right? So, like, what do you do? And that's why they are the hardest things. And I think this is why exactly that a lot of places are dual diagnosed treatments now, because dual and many more, right? Because we have so many things we need to work on. You know what I mean? Even if you don't have a mental illness or codependency or addiction or whatever, you still learn things from your childhood that changed your brain. And to get out of that, you have to use your brain that has learned all these behaviors. So how do you do that?
Yep. Tessa, I want to answer your question right now. You wrote, why would an addict go back and relapse if their life is going good? My boyfriend has been clean for 4 months and for some reason decided to relapse, and I don't know why. He can't give me a reason. Tessa, I will tell you, one of the things that Laura taught us was that when someone is coming from addiction, the reason why that first 6 months to a year is very crucial is because it's actually the brain starting to rewire and heal. So, a reasoning could be is, don't get me wrong, 4 months is fantastic and it's great. What it also is the brain really needs at least that 6 months to start really doing the rewiring and the healing. And I will also tell you is that what can be difficult is I've actually seen that things are actually going right, that through coaching, I've done this, probably, Mitchell, for about 5 years now, coaching addicts in recovery and family members. What I found with coaching with addicts, there are times where life is actually going really great for the addict. And what happens is they're now in recovery, but it actually starts to scare them. It's the same as putting from a family perspective. You know, when they do get recovery and we kind of get that feeling of, when's the shoe going to drop? It never stays this good. That actually happens to someone in recovery as well. They'll start to get to a certain mark, and then what they do is they start questioning everything and going, this is too good, it never stays this way, something bad's gonna happen. And instead of utilizing the support system or the coping skills that they've learned, the brain's going stressor, and without thinking, a lot of the times it goes back to the thing that it knows is going to take away the stress. Even if it's momentarily, it knows it's going to work. And I will tell you, just to provide you some hope, a lot of the times I've seen addicts, they'll relapse. However, if they can get a handle and get right back into it and start working whatever program they were working before, whether it's with a therapist, doctor, coach, 12-step program, some type of support system, anything like that, the good thing, or I feel like what I take them through is, hey, what do you think happened before the relapse? Because I'm a firm believer, it's called a mental relapse. A mental relapse takes place before a physical relapse. You'll start to see maybe they started feeling more anxiety, started feeling more down. They started realizing they isolated more. They were possibly doing things that were really working for them, and then they got complacent and they stopped doing them. A lot of times what can happen is they were taking medication that was for them, and then they stop. So it's really like going back to basics, because I've had people that have actually asked me, hey, Anna, you always talk about that mental relapse. Did you see one with Mitchell in that last lapse over 6 months ago? Did you see one? And being completely honest with you, with the power of hindsight.
Afterwards, yes.
Yeah, yes. And I
During, not really, because we both were not doing all that stuff.
And I think and I'm going to take accountability for my part. Did I start to see unhealthy tendencies come up? Absolutely. Did I speak my truth? I did at the beginning, but because I felt kickback, this is my flaw. I'm that typical codependent. I don't like conflict. I get nervous when emotions and feelings rise, but I need to realize it's okay for them to have emotions and feelings. And what I started doing is I stopped speaking up. And biggest thing is I didn't hold boundaries. I took a step back. And when I do that, I'm not supporting myself and I'm not supporting Mitchell. Why? My responsibility is actually not to challenge Mitchell, but in essence, when I stopped challenging Mitchell, I stopped challenging myself. I stopped challenging my own codependency. So therefore I dipped more into my codependency. So yes, I saw more signs, and that's why Mitchell and I can both learn from that. And I feel like we've been growing a lot more since that relapse. It's helped teach us a lot of things moving forward. So I just wanted to share that there's many of reasons of why.
And this is great. I think this is a great question, Tessa. And here's my thoughts on this. I don't think, like, we need to look at this as not even an addict, alcoholic thing. How many people can go 4 months without anything for stress? Right? You're not an addict. Think you're not an addict. That means you'd have a drink or drink maybe 3 times a year, right? 3 times a year you might drink for a night. How many people can do that? And a lot of people watching this might say, oh, I can do that. That's easy. I bet it's way harder than you think. I bet it's way harder than you think. It's not about why would I want to go back and relapse. The thing is life is hard. Life is stressful. Sometimes we get down on ourselves because we don't feel normal. And I'm saying anybody. So you might drink, right? Say I'm going to swear off alcohol and marijuana and drugs or whatever and sweets, everything, right? And I go 4 months and then I'm like, the cheat day. That's a relapse, right? I know that cheat day might kick me out of the gym for a couple months and I might start gorging on sweets and then, or I might have a night out and then a month later I'll have 2 nights out and then 2 months later I'll be out every weekend, right? You don't have to be an addict alcoholic. So I don't think it's about why someone wants to relapse. I think sometimes life just is life, right? And I think that as addicts and alcoholics and codependents, we have to actively work on staying safe, being vulnerable, being open with ourselves, talking about things, using our support. Because I'm not going to lie, many times, I've talked with Anna about this about 4 or 5 times over the last couple months. When I am going through hard stuff, you know what my brain starts talking me into? Marijuana was never a big problem for you, Mitchell. You know what I mean? It's legal up here. Could probably not even smoke it and have gummies and just take a low dose for anxiety. Because you know what? I don't like feeling frustrated. I don't like feeling down. I don't like feeling unmotivated. And you know what always made me feel happier? More motivated? Not frustrated at all? Marijuana. Every time. Now, but I always take that to the extreme, yes. But my brain says, well, what if you got a doctor to say this and you used it like your anxiety and depression medicine and you had a certain prescription and you just ate something in the morning and it wasn't like smoking and it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to want a cigarette afterwards and then I'm going to want to drink. Just a baseline, and that's what I talk myself into every time. And then I talk with Anna about it, or I talk to my support about it, and they get it. They get it, right? Life is hard, right? So I think that's what happens with your significant other, is 4 months, I'm doing great. Life's hard. I deserve to have a little something. And as addicts, we go out of control fast. So it's a big relapse, right? But think about it. It could be someone who's not an addict and they just have 1 drink.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were as hard on yourself as an addict is hard on themselves, every time you just had one drink, it'd be the end of the world. I think I had the pressure of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying it's right, not saying it's wrong. Another thing is this sounds weird and probably like, oh, this can't be. But it happened to me a lot. I'd get 2 or 3 months sober, and you know what my reward was? Drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Using, right? Like, what is the worst reward for an addict alcoholic, right? Using their substance. But that is how it works. That's our mind is rewired. Like, you know, you make it 3 months, you know, your success rate of staying clean is like 10%. 6 months, you're like 20%. A year, you're like 50%. You know, two years and on, you're like 70, 80%. You quit smoking cigarettes and you continue working on stuff and get therapy and on medication, your success rate's like 90-some%, right? It still doesn't mean that life's not hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, life is hard. Sometimes I want to have a drink, but you know what? That drink for me is going to be, I can't shut it off. I can't stop drinking when I drink, right? And it's just, that's just how it is. You know what I mean? I have to be open with you. I have to be open with my therapist. My therapist is someone who had worked in recovery, so he knows. Every time I meet with him, I always tell him, you know, the last couple of months I've been thinking about smoking marijuana, like a lot. And he's like, well, that's okay. Not to smoke it, but to think that, right? But it doesn't have to go farther than that. And who are you talking to it with? You know what I mean? Are you talking to your doctor about your medications? Are you talking about this? There's a lot of stuff you have to do. You know what I mean? So I think, you know, try to see it from all sides. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't be hurt or sad, angry, but talk about it. Talk about it openly. Like, I think the best thing me and Anna have done in recovery is we talk about it.
Yes.
Like, and if we didn't talk about it, I wouldn't feel comfortable going to her and saying, man, you know what? The last like 10 days in a row, I've romanticized smoking weed, right?
In early recovery, that would have freaked me out. It doesn't bother me at all.
But since we openly communicate for the last 6 years, I feel comfortable saying that stuff to Anna, right? I feel comfortable with that because she knows I'm coming to her. So open that dialogue with each other. And I think sometimes we need to feel more comfortable with who we're with so we can lean on them sometimes, our therapist sometimes, our medication sometimes, and all of that.
Yep. I just want to put a little tidbit in here before we go to the next question. This is a thought, an idea that I've been having. And I've been actually having this idea on and off for quite some time, but it's been more in my mind. Anybody that is in the state of Massachusetts and Rhode Island, just because those are the states that were just pretty close to each other, like a 45-minute drive type of deal. I've just been thinking about anyone that are in those states. Once a month, we get together at a certain point or time, whether it's on a Saturday or Sunday, maybe do a cookout and just talk, but just get together and just share. So if anyone is from Massachusetts or Rhode Island that would like to do something like that, just let me know. I'm honestly thinking about putting something together that it's once a month that we come together and we just share an experience and knowledge. And I'm hoping that will provide some hope, some clarity, some knowledge.
Friendship.
Yeah, friendship, connection. So if anyone would like to do something like that, you can either comment or you can message me. Because I do think that's something that I'm going to be putting on, and I will be making a post about it too. So I just wanted to put that in there.
I think that also goes with that last thing too. Is you know, sobriety's lonely sometimes.
Yes.
I'm lonely.
Yes.
I'm lonely in my sobriety because a lot of my connection came from, you know, not addiction or alcoholism, but like there was use involved.
Yeah.
Right? Partying, connection. Doesn't have to be like all night long, but like cookouts with drinking, camping with drinking, like, so you lose that stuff, man. It is hard.
Yep. Johanna, you can ask a question. I'll keep an eye on the chat right now, seeing things come in. If anyone wrote a question earlier and I didn't see it, I'll just post it again. I'll see it. And Kim, let's do it. Even if it's just the two of us, let's do it. So message me later because I'll try to get like a little group chat going on with people in Massachusetts and Rhode Island that would like
Vermont,
to, whatever it may be. Just know that I'm thinking about
New York.
I'm thinking about like a 1-day thing, and so I just know that it'll be easier for people that can drive home. Okay. So what?
And maybe it'll grow to a 2-day thing.
Maybe, you never know. I'm craving that connection.
Yeah,
so we'll make it happen, right? Instead of staying in that victim mentality, let's actually make it happen. Okay. So next question until Johanna, I see your question come up. Where was the one? Okay. This is one that's been coming up a lot lately. And Mitchell, I'll let you take it, first, but I do admit I'll probably have, my 2 cents that I have to put in. Okay. I think basically someone was talking about, their addict. Okay. Do consequences have any effect on the addict?
Wait, do consequences what?
Have any effect on the addict? But then it says, he thinks he can do it again alone. What do you think? Can sobriety be achieved without help or guidance? This is a big question that's been coming in a lot. And I actually would like you to answer this because I want a lot of family members to hear this. Do you think someone can get actual recovery, healing of their behaviors, with doing it completely by themselves and not having anyone involved?
100% no. No, not at all. Not at all. I wish it was that simple, man. If you know what, if that person can write a book, market it, sell it, you will be the richest person in the world, honestly, overnight. If there's a way to will it with no outside forces, man, that'd be a miracle. I mean, you'd be Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah.
Right? We cannot do it. But I want to tell you something else. 100% of people are going to think they can. Right? 100% of people are going to think they can do it themselves because we want to do it ourselves. We think we got ourselves into it so we can get ourselves out. We actually didn't get ourselves into it. Right? We made some choices. We did some things. But you know what? We look around. We're in it. We're in it. Right? I didn't choose to be an addict and alcoholic. Did I like what alcohol and drugs did for me? Yes. I didn't choose to freaking spend $100,000 in a year. I didn't choose to get DUIs and not be able to drive for 6 months. I didn't choose to lose all my friends. I didn't choose to lose a business and relationships and all this stuff, right, that come along with it. So there's absolutely no way. There's none. There's no way. Because you need something. Mm-hmm. The alcoholic and the addict's just this, right? Even if you detox and you don't change anything, right? Still, even if you detox, you're doing something, right? You are doing some research how to detox, right? So that's even still adding something, right? So now you can recover thousands of different ways and billions of combinations of those thousands of ways. I know people that have never gone to treatment. Maybe they started seeing a coach, a life coach or something, right? Or maybe someone started watching inspirational videos and they said, I'm going to follow this guy. Maybe I'm going to follow Tony Robbins, right? Who's an inspirational speaker. I'm going to follow him and I'm going to do everything he says. Or William Hoff, right? I'm going to do the Hoff method. I'm going to do some cold dips. That's something, right? You plus something else is the connection that you need that addiction takes away, right? If it's you doing it alone, then there's no more connection. There's no connection. There's still no connection.
Yep.
Right? There's still a lack of connection, and that's where addiction and codependency and bad behaviors and overeating and smoking and all that stuff, it grows. So you have to have something. And I think, in my opinion, the more of that something, the better your chances are. If we're talking about percentages, like,
yep.
Even if you're saying, hey, I don't want to use, I know people have gone to like hypnotherapists, right, to stop smoking. Great. Try it. Do it. Acupuncture. So let's stack all that up. Hypnotherapist, acupuncture. You go to your doctor and say, hey, I'm having a hard time with this. Maybe you get on Vivitrol to curb the alcohol cravings, and it's an opioid blocker. Maybe you start doing yoga. You start watching inspirational videos. You start journaling. You go to church or, meetings, or maybe a not faith-based, or a Buddhist-based thing, or whatever, smart recovery, science-based. The more of those things you do, the more chance you have recovery. So if the more of those you do, the easier recovery is going to be, and the more connection you're going to have in sobriety, then that tells you right there. The less you do, the harder it's going to be. And if you do nothing, I just don't think there's any possibility of change. I don't think there possibly can be. You know what I mean? Like,
no.
Just look at evolution. Like, things happen to make a species evolve, right? It never just does.
Yeah. And Johanna, I want to just say this because you wrote that. We Are Recovery is a public Facebook page, so yes, people can see your comments. So if you want to delete them right now or when the live is done, absolutely do it. You can private message us afterwards. Absolutely okay to do that. And before I answer your question, because I haven't, I copied and pasted it. I do want to say the reason why this question's been coming up and I gotta be honest, frustrates me is because I know I'm being triggered of the experiences that I had with the addict. And what I mean by that is I remember all the times the addict saying they were going to get it this time, but they never went and got any type of support. And I remember that feeling of hope, that hoping he would get it this time. And I remember having that, and I now look and I see it as that was just manipulation. That was manipulation to keep me by the addict's side. And I needed to understand that, again, everything that was being expressed was just words. Words don't, that even if someone has the greatest words and speech in the world, it's still a person that chooses an action that creates a difference. Okay, so as much as I want to say words don't have power, of course words have power, but I guess what I'm trying to say is even the best person had the most amazing speech in the world.
With no action.
No action from other people, it's still just words. So I need people to just really understand, because I'm just hearing it more and more of, but they're saying they're really going to change. They're saying that they really need my support. They're saying they're really going to do it this time. I think I just get frustrated because I see myself and how many times I continued wanting that to be real and feeling personally now almost kind of foolish in an essence. But again, we only know what we know at that time. But I guess it frustrates me because I just see the manipulation at work now.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's why it frustrates me, is that I just see so many times the sayings of like, I'm going to do it this time. You know, I really understand this time that I really need to change. I'm really going to do this. I'm going to really do that. I really need you. If you're not here, I'm not going to change. I'm sorry. It's to me now, it's just all manipulation, because if you stop and take a pause and go, how many times have you heard that? How many times have you heard that? Why in the world would their words be different now without action? Okay. And so I have to be honest. It frustrates me because I watch people that are family members that are working a recovery and they slip back into their own codependency, hoping that it's going to get better, when in actuality, there is no change being created. There's no new action. And again, if you try to do it yourself, then you are going back to the same thing you've been doing for years. You, yourself, and I. Let me know how that works for you.
Yeah, with a sick brain.
Yes, even with codependence. If you don't reach out, if you don't have a support system and you don't challenge yourself, I'm going to call out codependence also. I do the same from time to time. It comes back to me, myself, and I. It's not going to help me get out of something. I need to bring other people into my world that will challenge me, look at my belief system, check me in my codependency, and so much more. So yeah, I get frustrated because I'm sorry, I've never once seen someone get an actual recovery. I'm going to define that right now. I'm not talking about just getting sober. Oh, absolutely. Can people just get sober by not bringing anything in? Yeah, but I'm going to tell you what that means. That means someone without a substance, that is the term dry drunk, which means they're just not using, but they have all the unhealthy, toxic behaviors that are still there. Recovery means you have given up the substance and you have realized that life is going to be filled with ups and downs, feelings and emotions, and you need to learn how to create coping skills of how to work through them. You are going to challenge your unhealthy behaviors. That's what recovery is. So have I ever seen someone do that without any outside source of help? No. Even the same on a codependent side. If I work with people that don't want to bring someone else into their life, you're not going to have change. It's not going to happen.
No, and even if you bring somebody in, you might not have change. You know what I mean? You have to do it, because a lot of the times, if you're not willing to do something extra, what happens is you just keep on cycling through new people.
Yep.
Right? You're the same, and there's new people and new experiences, and that's what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to, Tara, save yours. I'm actually just literally typing this in so I have them, but I'm going to answer this other person's question first. Hold on, Mitchell. I'm just going to put this just so I don't lose it. Okay, because once people start more comments, I can't see anymore. So, did you guys ever have to spend time apart during your recovery? My husband is wanting to live apart while he's in rehab and IOP for a year. Mitchell, you want to? Did we ever?
Yes, we did. I mean, I think if he's working a program like, and you guys can do that, it's great. If the relationship can take that, if you know, there's a lot of variables, kids, finances, distance, all that kind of stuff. You know, is there still contact? You got to work on still have to work on the relationship, even though you're not living together. There's a lot of stuff you have to figure out there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, anytime you go to treatment, you're apart. You know what I mean? You go to rehab. I was the last time you were with me the last month and a half.
Yeah, we hadn't seen each other for 4 months, so physically.
4 months physically. You know, didn't live together. Mm-hmm. And actually, it was about a month before that too. So it was like 5 months, right? Because you left a month before. So about 5 months we weren't together. And then think about it. When you were living with them in the addiction, you weren't together either. Mm. You were living in the same house, but it wasn't really your person. I would say, so the answer is yes. About 4 or 5 months. And then every time I went to recovery, into rehab, it was either 3 months, 2 months. You know what I mean? So let's figure that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. About 10 months out of 18 months we didn't live together. You know what I mean? Yeah. When I was in treatment in 18 months. So, and then she came out and stayed with me for the month and a half when I was in IOP. So we did live together, but it was a different place, and we got to grow and recover together. But it wasn't in either of our houses. Mm-hmm. So I would even say that's like kind of, we were in the same space, mm-hmm. but I wouldn't really say it was that same kind of thing, right? Yeah. I think it's great, but I think there's a lot of stuff to figure out. I think the only downside to that is like living separately, doing your recovery, not working on the relationship. You know what I mean? Because you have to work. Who do you spend most of the time with, right? Who have you hurt the most? Who do you have the most resentments with or hurt by? Those are things if you tackle, you're stronger in recovery. So I think if it's to avoid, it could be very bad. Yep. For the relationship, it might be what the person needs, or both of you need. I don't know. But I think it's worth a conversation. What's the logistics? What's the reasoning? What's the program? You know, you still going to visit, and you know what I mean? You're just not living together, so you're still doing stuff. And how are you reintegrating back into loving each other as a couple, even though you're not living together? You have to figure that stuff out. Yep.
And Andrea, I know you said like he's dead set on having his spirituality rather than his program. I will tell you that, again, if someone goes into their spirituality and they work with the support system that is there, I think that can happen too. There's not one set way of recovery, but I will tell you that how you kind of suggested that you feel like there's no accountability. So I'm assuming this is an assumption that there may still be some unhealthy behaviors. I think, the way that Mitchell told me is come to him in not a critical way and not an accusatory way, and more of a way of, hey, I want to work on this together, whatever the unhealthy behavior is that you're seeing. That's the way to kind of approach it, and use I feel statements. So if there's some sort of unhealthy behavior going on, try not to come in with criticism or contempt. Come in with I feel statements, coming from a place of like, I want to support you and I want to work on this together. And what I've been working on more is realizing like contempt, the way you try to work through contempt is also bring into what you're longing for. What are you missing? What are you wanting from it? And so a lot of times it may be is, I feel like we've lost a lot of connection in the addiction and I would love to bring that back. So how do you feel like we could work on that together? Like that's something, because again, when we come with contempt, and contempt is basically we don't realize it, but we're putting ourselves above somebody else. It's a me versus you rather than hey, let's work on this together. And I'm going to give you an example of contempt that I was like, oh crap, that I've been working on is, they even said you don't have to physically say contempt, but if you're thinking of it and you don't express your feelings and emotions and really go into what contempt's telling you, it is going to poison you. And I will tell you, a lot of times in the addiction, I thought with Mitchell this is contempt right here. I would never do that to you. Even if that is really how you feel, you're actually not sharing your emotions in that statement. You're not even sharing what you're longing for or what you want to do. You're certainly in your feelings, but think about it. If someone came up to you and just went, I would never do that to you. What are you probably going to do? You're going to defend your integrity. Okay, so you're going to get resentful. So what we can do instead is come in and say, hey, I just wanted, this makes me feel this way, and what I'm longing for is connection. So a lot of times, that's actually a live I'm going to do on we're going to talk about contempt a bit deeper, because I do want to talk about that, because I think a lot of times we think we're sharing our feelings and emotions, and we're feeling our feelings and emotions, but we're not expressing them. We're not actually sharing what we're feeling. A lot of times, something as simple as we're angry, and we expect people to know we're angry, but we don't actually go, hey, I'm frustrated or angry because of. Okay, we just lash out. So we're needing to work on that.
I want to say something to Andrea. Okay, this might not be a popular opinion, or I don't even know, but I'm thinking about this right now. I think I'm all for spirituality, okay, but you have to have spirituality with accountability. And I saw you put there that like they watch sermons and stuff like that, but who are they going to and talking with, right? I can have a great relationship with God, but how's God keeping me accountable today on this earth?
Yeah.
Okay, there is things that I might say later we're judged for, or I know my truth and God knows me, and that's great. Great. But we need accountability from an individual. Mm-hmm. That's why 12-step programs have helped millions of people, because they are faith-based. They do still touch on that kind of stuff, but there is someone there to keep you accountable. Are you doing the step work? Have you looked at this? Have you talked to this person you have resentments to? Where's the accountability? If I am just praying, watching sermons, and doing this stuff, am I still in this human body trying to figure things out on my own? Yes. Mm-hmm. How am I going to hold myself accountable if no one else is with a sick brain? Mm-hmm. Right? It can't happen. Faith is wonderful. Wonderful to have faith and your spirituality and work on that. But you need some form of program. You need some form of accountability. Right? I think it has to. It has to be.
Yep.
That's exactly why the 12-step program is a 12-step program, not just church.
Yeah.
Okay? So if he's physically going to church and meeting with the pastor, and he's talking about stuff, and he finds someone in there that's a mentor, fantastic. Yeah. That's great. Faith-based. It doesn't have to be 12 steps. It doesn't have to be about addiction or anything like that. It can be just about faith and being a good person, right? Yep. If you're doing those things, but if you're just giving it to the glory of God and you're not talking to anybody else about it, I hate to say it, but I think it's still in that you're still trying to control things.
Yep, and for anyone on here, just to touch base, because I know sometimes that people are like, oh, the religious part kind of turns me off of 12-step programs. Just letting you know, there's all different types of 12-step programs out there. There's a Buddha-based program. There's Dharma recovery. There's, what's the other?
Smart recovery is science-based.
Smart recovery is science-based. What's the other Buddha one? Refuge recovery. Well, there's even pagan recovery. There are so
many. There's Native American recovery. There's all kinds of. But here's another thing, though, that might be harsh.
Yeah.
If the religious aspect is stopping you from going to a 12-step meeting, get over yourself. Get over it. Okay? It stopped me for a long time. I feel you. I hear you. But you know what? Is your life important? Is your spouse important? Are your kids important? Is recovery important? If it is, every time someone says God, just look at something else. You know what I mean? Cover your ears. I don't know, substituted. I substituted with other words, creator, universe. It's a word.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that. And I think people that stop their own growth potential because of that, it's a shame. And we have to get over ourselves.
Yeah. What I wanted to say is, Johanna, I did see you say a question of how did you get over that of not being with Mitchell.
You probably loved it at first because it was just a break.
I mean, I'm not going to lie.
It's the addict.
I know a lot of family can relate to this when I say it. I remember the first time Mitchell going to rehab. At first, I was so freaking relieved. Yeah. So relieved. And then all of a sudden, nighttime came. It was so quiet, and I was so lonely, and I just bawled.
You think, like, how did you get here?
Yes. So,
all kind of stuff.
Yes. What I can just give maybe some suggestions if you wanted to, seeing you guys are far apart. The rehab that Mitchell went to was fantastic, and they offered family counseling once a week. So Mitchell and I had a family therapist once a week. That helped us work on the marriage and on the relationship. And that I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think Mitchell and I would be where we are right now without it. So that's just something too, is, you could set up, whether it's in person or over Zoom, getting a marriage counselor or therapist that I would highly suggest that understands addiction. Because I do feel that there's some therapists that don't know about addiction. They're not meaning to, and it's not their intention. Addiction's a different beast. And we as family definitely still need to be challenged. But I believe when people don't understand addiction and codependency, I do believe they tend to victim blame. And that's not going to help us get out of our mentality in which we're in. It's just going to trigger us more. So I believe someone that understands addiction, understands what's going on, and truthfully, I think the big reason is they call each other out on the bull crap when it comes up. I think
even if they don't have an understanding, you need to lay out the ins and outs of this addiction, right? You have to be so open with them about this stuff and the guilt, the trauma, and the pain, and all this stuff that they know this isn't just disagreement about something, right?
Yes, and when you said, I heard you say that, I think I feel abandoned. I mean, I think almost every single family member on here can relate to you.
It wasn't your choice.
No, because the truth of the matter is, like, if you asked me and why it was so hard for Mitchell and I to connect, is I told Mitchell this the other day, is like when I met Mitchell, I've never felt that way with another person. It really was like time stopped. It was like we've known each other's souls previously, that I knew that I would be safe with him and protected. That energy between us was massive. And then in the addiction, yes, I felt abandoned by that person. And that's why trust still to this day, like, don't get me wrong, Mitchell and I have worked on trust massively. I'd be lying to you if I told you that I still don't protect my heart a little bit. It's this fear of when I really believe that this person, like, I was protected and safe. And even though we've learned to separate the addict from the true individual, there is a part of me sometimes that's like, but that could come back out and I'm going to be hurt again. What I can tell you is how I work through it is Laura helped me to realize that if I live in that fear, I also don't know that it may never happen again. And so I need to just live day by day and take it that way. And that helps me. So I think expressing the abandonment, I do want to also get to this one question, Mitchell, because someone did ask this and I think it was a parent. So I do want to get to this. They asked, let me get to the beginning. I have a question. I haven't seen my daughter in 5 years and miss her so much. She is asking me to come to Florida from Michigan, but I had a stroke last year. I wouldn't go alone. But I also want to go see her. Do you think this would be that much harder on seeing her? She is doing fentanyl. Just looking for an opinion. I mean, I have to be honest. When you see...
She wants you to come see her?
She wants? Yeah, she wants her mom to come and see her.
But she's on fentanyl, but she's still using?
Yes. So the hard part is I'll be honest about this.
Whatever you feel.
Yeah, whatever you feel. However, will it be hard for you seeing her? Yes, if you haven't seen someone for a while, unfortunately, drugs do a lot to the body. And it's very traumatizing to see someone that's in heavy drug use because generally they don't look like the person that you last remembered. So, yeah.
I'm going to ask what's up, what's going on, why. I haven't seen you in 5 years, why now? But at the end of the day, it's like if you don't go see her and then something happens, are you going to blame yourself? If that's the case, then go.
Yeah.
Right. I think you have to do some soul searching and say what outweighs the other, right? Maybe it's just a short trip and you say, I'm going, and maybe you don't buy the other ticket, but you go and you see her, and if you can handle it and you can communicate and connect a little bit, maybe that's what you both need. If not, you just buy another one way back. You know what I mean? And just leave. But you know, that's hard. That's a you thing. You know what I mean? I think you know, we're here if you want to work through some you know, options and ask us our opinions, message us, and we'll read them and go through them with you, or you know, to heck, be on the phone when you meet her. I mean, whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'll FaceTime with you when you're meeting her if that's something you need to do. But that's hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it's the biggest thing I always think about when I'm making any decision is, like, if I lay my head on the pillow tonight, am I gonna be okay?
Yeah.
And if the answer is yes, then it's probably the right decision, even if it was the hardest one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Another question: did you ever have to deal with? No, Mitchell never cheated on me. I will admit, though, I did finally ask Mitchell that question the last time he went to rehab, because I do remember what kind of triggered it more is I had a conversation with Chris Alder on the phone, and Chris Alder he actually said to me, Anna, maybe there's something that Mitchell's done that he feels so much shame and guilt that when he looks at you, that it triggers something inside of him. And that's when I remember saying to Chris Alder, I've always worried about that. I've wondered if Mitchell cheated on me, or something to that degree. And he's feeling so much shame and guilt every single time. So it was in a therapy session. I think it was Darren. I did ask Mitchell. I said, Mitchell, I really want to ask this. When you were in the addiction after all these years, did you ever cheat on me? And I remember your response. You were like, Anna, in all honesty,
surprised you haven't asked me earlier.
Surprised you haven't asked me earlier, because a lot of the things that happens when we're in addiction very mimics cheating on, like leaving in the middle of the nights, lying, truths not adding up, like all those things. So I do remember that. So I did have to ask Mitchell because I did want to know that question. You know, people ask,
because it is a connection. It is a connection loss, right?
Yes.
So like that's the biggest thing for people. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like that definitely like turned to like pornography and stuff like that, because you need a release, right? As beings, like that's also a part of a relationship.
Yeah.
And not getting that, or you know, the drugs and alcohol, like there's something that, and some people take it to the extreme.
Yeah.
Right. And then they do go cheat or hook up.
Yeah.
You know, I just, you know, maybe that was the introvert side of me. That wasn't an outgoing person that was always out doing those things. You know, I was never a person who was leaving for weeks or days on end. Like I was always home and, you know, doing those things. So like, I think there was a lot.
He wasn't always home, but like what he's saying, he didn't go leave for work.
There was never a day we went by we didn't see each other. I mean, at least one time being at home, you know what I mean? It wasn't like ever 2 days things out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it was, then there's possibilities, right?
Yeah.
For that.
Yeah. And last question, what do you do if he does feel shame looking at me triggers him? The truth of the matter is he's going to have to work through that. I will tell you,
He should feel shame.
Yes. And to be honest, our loved ones in addiction, when they feel shame and guilt, that is actually a really good indicator that the humanity is still inside them. It's a really good indicator, right? I'm not saying that when they feel shame and guilt, go and coddle them, because I will tell you that's the thing that I used to do with Mitchell. I was actually just talking about this to someone today, as I realized one of my unhealthy coping skills was always trying to go to the positive. What would happen is Mitchell would start to feel shame and guilt. I would see him look sad and I'd go straight over him and be like, let's go for a walk. Let's go do this, to try to make him happy again, because I believed the way to work through problems was to be happy.
And then I'd be like, oh, I'm not that bad.
Yes. Okay. And then that
she wants me to be happy. She loves me.
Yes. And that also stopped me from feeling my uncomfortable feelings and emotions. Okay. So what I will tell you is they have to work through that shame and guilt. They absolutely have to. Just the same way as we actually have to work through our shame and guilt when we start feeling like maybe we should leave, or maybe the healthiest and right decision for us is to leave. We tend to feel shame and guilt with that, even though it's the healthiest choice for us.
Yeah.
So again, it's having life come on life's terms with uncomfortable feelings and emotions, and us needing to learn how to work through and process them. And I want to tell people that I will start coming on again on morning lives. But I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to be honest and upfront, so if you don't want to come, you don't have to come to the morning lives. My morning lives recently, I have realized, are bringing me more fulfillment when I communicate what I'm working on right now and what my struggles are, rather than trying to go back into the addiction and always talking about addiction. I'm going to tell you why.
Because it's exhausting.
One, it's exhausting. Yes, one, it's exhausting, but here's the real truth. My healing, meaning my self-growth, my healing, my confidence, and holding boundaries. Yes, there was a part about it that I needed to learn about addiction. What really saved me, though, was actually learning about myself and what was going on within me that was creating me to pick unhealthy behaviors like codependency. Like Mitchell said, in essence, guys, why do people go to codependency? Why do people go to addiction? It does not randomly happen. It does not randomly go, I'm an addict, I'm a codependent. Like Mitchell said earlier, it happens because life happens, and life can get hard, and we get scared to reach out. We get scared to be vulnerable and share about the normal experiences that humans go through. So I want to start turning my perspective at this time. It can shift and it can change in another week. But right now, what I want to shift it to is what I'm struggling with right now. Because what I have learned is if I do not express what I am struggling with, and I do not work on those coping skills, I will go back into my codependency. That does not serve me, and that does not serve what I feel I'm here for, to help other people in a healthy way. So what I need to start doing is, we need to start talking about the everyday things that have created codependency inside of ourselves, the everyday things that have brought us to, I can't deal with these stressors anymore, and I am going to a drug, which later turns into addiction. So, if you'd like to come on that journey with me, you can come on that journey with me. But that is what I am realizing. I think what I've started to do, guys, in the past is I was struggling, and I started talking about things what I wanted, what I assumed everybody else needed to, or wanted to hear. I need to go back to what's going on in here, because that's how I think we can help each other. Because we just need to always remember that, guys. Mitchell's 100% right. No one woke up and said, you know what? I feel like avoiding conflict today. I want to be a people pleaser. I want to go and become an addict. No one did that. It's because we need to learn the coping skills and being vulnerable about what's going on in daily life, like struggles and stressors. That's what we need to start talking about. So that's what I'm going to start doing.
Kids and limes.
Yes.
And
you
know what? I need a damn date night. And you know what I mean? Like, how does the fun come back into your life? And what do you do about when one person wants a budget and the other one doesn't care? Right? Like, really? That's some of our stuff.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Right? And what do we do when we both work different things? We're taking care of the kids, and, you know, I'm in this room and that room, and then we both just want to veg out and be on our phones, and we don't connect.
Yep.
What's that do to a marriage, right? What's that do to people? Yep. It sucks the life out of you. That's what it does.
Yes.
And life gets hard. But you know what? I saw a shirt the other day that said, "Do you don't drink or do drugs?" And it said, "No, I like to take my life straight up, raw, and painful." You know what I mean? And that's a powerful statement.
Yep.
I could take a drink and I could do a drug. But you know what? I'm powerful.
Yep.
I'm worth it. And I can do anything I set my mind to.
Yep. So guys, if anything, if you guys want to come on the journey, Mitchell and I will start doing the Monday nights again. I'll start doing the lives. I just will let you know the morning lives will be a random time. I'm going to continue doing that. That worked for me back then.
Maybe I'll even pop on and do a live sometime. It's been months. But you know what? It's been great.
Yes. We got to take that.
And I do miss everybody. I do miss talking.
Guys, here before everyone heads off, just to let everyone know, I am really thinking about doing that one-day thing where we get together. So if you're close to Massachusetts or Rhode Island.
Someone earlier said, how about Connecticut? You got it.
Yeah,
you bet it.
Absolutely. We're going to start doing that. I am continuously working on the workshops. We'll be doing that hopefully soon. I know I've had some people reach out. And then just going to keep going on this path, guys. Thanks for always being there for Mitchell and I and supporting us and challenging us. And thank you for you know, just continuously spreading the word and the message and the healing, because always remember it, like you truthfully are a big part of why we're able to continue doing what we're doing and sharing, because you're spreading that message. So just like Mitchell said, we love you guys and we'll see you guys again soon, okay?
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.